Hey there, amazing people. Ever felt that little knot of worry in your stomach? That tiny voice whispering, "Is everything okay?" Maybe it's about your job, or maybe it's about how people you care about are being treated. Well, today's story dives deep into that fear that something isn't right behind the scenes. Have you ever suspected that things aren't always as they seem? Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. It's always incredible to see how far our stories reach. And hey, before we get started, a little click on that like button would mean the world. You guys are the best, and this story, it's especially for you. Now imagine this, a CEO, the big boss, the person in charge of everything, deciding to go undercover, not for some fancy TV show, but because of a nagging feeling, a worry that something wasn't quite right in one of his own stores. He couldn't shake this unease, a suspicion that maybe the smiles his employees showed him during his official visits weren't the whole story. What if there was something hidden, something going on when he wasn't around? It's a thought that could keep anyone up at night, right? Let's dive in and see what happened when Arthur, the CEO of Happy Homes, decided to become just another face in the crowd. Arthur adjusted the slightly too big uniform shirt and the ill-fitting cap. He looked nothing like the sharp, confident man who usually walked the polished floors of Happy Homes corporate headquarters. Today, he was just Art, a new, supposedly inexperienced stock clerk at one of their busiest locations in Oak Haven. His heart thumped a little with each step he took into the bustling store. He wanted to see things with his own eyes, to understand the real atmosphere, the day-to-day struggles and triumphs of his employees. He trusted his team leaders, he really did, but lately, there had been whispers, vague comments that didn't quite add up. A gut feeling that something was amiss. He started his tasks, stocking shelves with kitchenware. It was harder work than it looked, and he quickly gained a new respect for the people who did this day in and day out. Most of his interactions with the other employees were brief and polite. They seemed busy, focused on their tasks. But then he saw him, the store manager, a man named Rexford, with a slick-back hairstyle and a perpetually impatient expression. Rexford was talking to a much older employee, a kind-faced gentleman named Walter, who was meticulously arranging a display of gardening tools. Walter moved a little slower, his hands showing the wear and tear of many years of work. Arthur watched from a distance as Rexford's voice grew louder, his tone sharp and condescending. "Come on, Walter. Hurry it up. We don't have all day." "Some of us actually have things to do," Rexford snapped, his voice echoing slightly across the aisle. Walter's shoulders slumped a little. He didn't say anything, just continued his work, his movements becoming even more hesitant. Arthur felt a surge of anger rise within him. This wasn't right. This wasn't the way anyone should be treated, especially someone like Walter, who always had a friendly smile for everyone. Arthur moved closer, pretending to organize some nearby items, his ears straining to hear more. "You're too slow, Walter. Honestly, sometimes I wonder why we even keep you around," Rexford continued, his words like little jabs. "Maybe it's time for you to just retire." Arthur's blood ran cold. The disrespect in Rexford's voice was palpable. He saw the hurt flicker in Walter's eyes, a sadness that tugged at Arthur's heart. Walter had been with Happy Homes for over 15 years. He was a loyal, dedicated employee, always willing to help, always cheerful to customers. And this was how he was being treated? He wanted to step in, to reveal himself right then and there, but something held him back. He wanted to see more, to understand the full extent of the situation. Maybe this was just a bad moment, a one-off. But deep down, Arthur feared it wasn't. Over the next few days, Arthur continued his undercover work, and his initial suspicion morphed into a grim certainty. Rexford's behavior wasn't an isolated incident. He saw him constantly berating other employees, especially those who were older or seemed less assertive. He witnessed Rexford taking credit for their ideas, delegating his own responsibilities, and creating an atmosphere of fear and resentment. One afternoon, Arthur saw Rexford callously dismiss a young employee, a single mother named Bethany, who had to leave early because her child was sick. Rexford's words were harsh and unsympathetic, leaving Bethany visibly upset and worried about her job. Arthur felt a knot of frustration tighten in his chest. He had built Happy Homes on the principles of respect, fairness, and community. What he was witnessing was a betrayal of everything he believed in. He thought about all the times he had praised Rexford for his efficiency, never suspecting the cost of that efficiency on the well-being of his team. Had he been blind? Had he been so focused on the numbers that he had missed the human element? It was a painful realization. He also noticed something else. Walter, despite the manager's negativity, continued to come to work every day, his dedication unwavering. He still offered a kind word to his colleagues and a warm smile to the customers. There was a quiet strength in him, a resilience that Arthur found deeply inspiring. It made Rexford's behavior even more appalling. How could someone so good be treated so poorly? One evening, as Arthur was sweeping the floor near the customer service desk, he overheard a conversation between Rexford and another employee, a young man named Finn. "Look, Finn," Rexford said in a low voice, "I need you to cover my shift on Saturday. I have something important to do." Finn looked hesitant. "But I already have plans, Mr. Rexford. I told you last week." "I don't care about your plans," Rexford snapped. "I'm the manager here, and when I tell you to do something, you do it. Understand?" Finn's face fell. He mumbled a reluctant, "Yes, sir." Arthur's suspicion flared again. What was so important that Rexford couldn't miss it? And why was he so insistent on Finn covering his shift? It felt wrong. Another piece of the puzzle that didn't fit. The following Saturday, Arthur, still undercover, kept a close eye on things. Rexford didn't come in. Around midday, Arthur noticed Finn looking increasingly anxious. He kept checking his phone and pacing near the back exit. Finally, he made a call, his voice hushed. "Yeah, it's me. He's not here. I don't know what to do. Okay, I'll wait." Arthur's curiosity was piqued. He discreetly followed Finn as he went outside to wait. A few minutes later, a sleek, expensive car pulled up and Rexford stepped out, not in his usual store attire, but in a sharp suit. He was carrying a large duffel bag. Finn looked relieved, but also a little scared. "Mr. Rexford, I thought you weren't coming in." "Change my plans," Rexford said curtly, taking the duffel bag from Finn. "Just keep your mouth shut about this, got it?" Finn nodded quickly, avoiding eye contact. Rexford then went back inside, heading straight for the manager's office. Arthur watched, a sense of dread washing over him. What was going on? What was in that bag? Later that day, Arthur noticed that the cash register in one of the aisles seemed unusually low. He mentioned it to another employee, who shrugged and said, "It's been like that for a while." Rexford said he'd take care of it. A terrible thought struck Arthur. Could Rexford be stealing from the store? Was that why he needed Finn to cover his shift? Was that why he was so dismissive and mean to the other employees, creating an environment where no one would question his authority? The pieces started to fall into place, painting a disturbing picture. The disrespect towards Walter, the unfair treatment of Bethany, the forced shift change for Finn, the low cash register. It all pointed toward a manager abusing his power and possibly engaging in illegal activities. Arthur knew he had seen enough. It was time to reveal himself and confront Rexford. He found Rexford in his office, counting a stack of cash. The duffel bag was open beside him, filled with more money. Arthur took a deep breath and stepped into the office. "Rexford," he said, his voice calm but firm. Rexford looked up, his eyes widening in shock as he recognized a man in the ill-fitting uniform. His face paled. Mr. Thompson?" he stammered, his composure completely gone. "It's Arthur Thompson," Arthur said, his gaze steady. "And I've seen enough." The confrontation was difficult, but necessary. Arthur laid out everything he had witnessed, the way Rexford had treated Walter and Bethany, the forced shift on Finn, and finally, the cash in the duffel bag. Rexford tried to deny everything, but the evidence was overwhelming. The truth unfolded, revealing a pattern of abuse and dishonesty that had been going on for months. Rexford had been systematically creating a toxic work environment, intimidating his employees, and pocketing money from the store's earnings. The pain of this discovery was immense for Arthur. He had trusted Rexford, had believed in his leadership. To see his trust so completely betrayed was a heavy blow. But amidst the disappointment, there was also a sense of resolve. He had to fix this. He had to protect his employees and restore the values that Happy Home stood for. The immediate aftermath involved Rexford's swift dismissal and a thorough investigation into his actions. But Arthur knew that wasn't enough. He had to make things right for the employees who had suffered under Rexford's management. He gathered the entire team and revealed his undercover experience. There was shock, then relief, and finally, a sense of hope. Arthur apologized for not realizing what was happening sooner and promised to take immediate steps to improve the work environment. He personally apologized to Walter and Bethany, acknowledging their dedication and the unfair treatment they had endured. He assured Bethany of her job security and offered her extra support. He recognized Walter's long years of service and his unwavering positive attitude with a special company-wide award. Arthur also implemented new policies to protect employees from abuse and ensure fair treatment. He established an anonymous reporting system so that anyone could voice their concerns without fear of retaliation. He committed to spending more time in the stores himself, not as the untouchable CEO, but as someone who was genuinely connected to his team. The changes weren't immediate, but slowly, the atmosphere in the Oak Haven store began to shift. The fear and resentment were replaced by a sense of trust and camaraderie. Employees felt valued and respected. Productivity increased and customer satisfaction soared. Arthur learned a valuable lesson during his time undercover. He realized that true leadership wasn't just about looking at spreadsheets and bottom lines. It was about understanding the human heart, recognizing the struggles and triumphs of the people who made his company what it was. It was about creating a culture of empathy, respect, and fairness. And what about Walter? He became a beloved figure in the store, his quiet strength and unwavering kindness an inspiration to everyone. He even mentored some of the younger employees, sharing his wisdom and experience. He showed everyone that true value wasn't measured by speed or efficiency alone, but by integrity, dedication, and the way you treated others. So, what do you think about Arthur's decision to go undercover? Have you ever witnessed or experienced something similar in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, a little kindness can go a long way. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and share it with others. You never know who might need to hear it. The moral of the story is this: never underestimate the power of empathy and the importance of treating everyone with respect, regardless of their age or position. Sometimes, the greatest truths are revealed when we step outside our comfort zones and see the world through someone else's eyes. And always trust your gut feeling. It might just lead you to uncover something truly important.